So this is one of the really fun and interesting sessions, Astro-Herbalism integrating astrology and herbal medicine. This might be the part you were waiting for. I hope you really enjoy it. And again, make sure you save these slides. They'll be down below in the module for you to save as a PDF because I think they're really valuable. Agenda. So we're going to do an intro, discussion of sympathy and antipathy, the doctrine of signatures, the planets and their herbs, list of therapeutic actions and planetary correspondences. And make sure you check down below underneath this video in the module for any handouts that I include, because sometimes I make the handouts after I record these, so I don't always remember or know how many I'm going to add, but do check every session. Introduction to Astro-Herbalism. So Astro-Herbalism is the practice of integrating astrology with herbal medicine to understand the energetic qualities of plants and their correspondences to planetary and zodiacal influences. It is based on the belief in ancient practice that celestial bodies affect both human health and plant properties, allowing practitioners to use astrology as a diagnostic tool to identify imbalances and select appropriate herbs for treatment. Rooted in ancient traditions, Astro-Herbalism combines planetary rulerships, humoral theory, and medical astrology to create a holistic approach to healing that aligns the body with cosmic rhythms. I should say not just humoral theory, probably just energetic theory. And the famous quote, as above, so below, as within, so without. Please note that each energetic system, Western Ayurvedic medicine to traditional Chinese medicine, categorizes their plants' energetics kind of differently. Also, from person to person, planetary rulers of certain plants and herbs may differ. So there isn't like a universal consensus on all of this. We are doing like Western herbal medicine. There's no hard and fast rule, but commonalities will always prevail. Ginger is always warm, whether you're looking in Ayurveda or TCM or Western herbal medicine. Chili is always warm. So whether you use it to stimulate and heat in a cold condition, or you use chili to provoke sweating to release heat from the body is a different matter. So the applications might be different. So for example, Nicholas Culpeper gives marshmallow to Venus for its cooling demulcent effect, where it helped move kidney stones with more ease, and its topical use to counter the effects of Martian inflammation. So it was really popular in the 1600s to use marshmallow for people who had kidney stones, and kidney is under the rulership of Libra, and Venus rules Libra. So that's how that's put together. However, Matthew Wood, a modern herbalist, gives marshmallow to the moon due to its moistening, cooling effects and frequent application to an inflamed stomach lining, the stomach being Cancer, and Cancer's ruler being the moon. So you can see how both herbalists came to their conclusions, but they are slightly different. However, not too far away from each other. The moon and Venus do have some similarities. When you understand the energetic signature of health conditions, whether through reading a person's natal chart or recognizing planetary patterns in their symptoms, so for example, someone with a lot of inflammation, you go, well, that's very Martian, you don't even have to read their chart. You can select herbs whose planetary rulerships directly address these patterns. For instance, if someone shows signs of excessive, excessive Mars energy manifesting as inflammation, heat, and irritation, you might choose cooling lunar herbs like marshmallow to bring balance. Or you recognize a Saturnian pattern of restriction, stiffness, and structural issues, you could work with Venusian herbs to soften and release these patterns. This approach becomes particularly powerful when you can read someone's medical astrology chart, as you can identify not just current symptoms, but underlying energetic patterns, so constitutional issues, which is where reading the birth chart is really useful. Understanding these energetic patterns allows you to move beyond purely physical symptom treatment to address health issues at their cosmic and energetic roots. I think that's also exciting. Sympathy and antipathy. So the concept of working with herbs through sympathy or antipathy offers two powerful approaches to restoring balance in the body. In sympathetic herbalism, you select herbs that embody the energy you want to increase, like using vital, warming solar herbs like rosemary to boost a depleted life force, or choosing Mars-ruled herbs to increase dynamic energy when it's lacking. So this approach works by amplifying and supporting the desired energy pattern. Antipathetic herbalism, on the other hand, works by introducing opposing energies to balance excess, like using cooling lunar herbs such as marshmallow to calm intense Martian inflammation, or applying restrictive Saturnian herbs to contain excess Venusian expansion. I don't think expansion is the right word there, but yeah, you would use Saturnian herbs to constrict and tonify Venusian flaccidity or excess relaxation. The choice between sympathetic or antipathetic treatment often depends whether you're addressing a deficiency, where sympathetic herbs can build up the lacking energy, or an excess, where antipathetic herbs can restore balance by introducing the opposite force. This dual approach provides herbalists with a nuanced way to work with planetary energies, either reinforcing beneficial patterns through sympathy or gently counterbalancing excessive energies through antipathy, always with the goal of restoring the body's natural equilibrium. So some examples of sympathy and antipathy. Presentation, we've got someone with a fever, which is very hot and Martian. It's acute, comes on suddenly, very red, very hot. Sympathetic treatment, we could bring in more Martian herbs to induce sweating, such as cayenne or ginger. So we have a hot presentation, and then we're bringing in a hot herb, but in this case, it would help cool the person down by inducing sweating. Antipathetic treatment, so someone with a hot fever, we would use herbs to reduce the fever like yarrow or elderflower. Elderflower is a diaphoretic though, isn't it? That might not be the right example. But you understand what I'm saying there. Herbs to reduce the fever, or herbs that promote the fever so it can break. So another example, we have burnout, so someone with a lack of solar energy, that vital force. Sympathetic treatment, we would use solar herbs to encourage the solar energy, like rhodiola or St. John's wort or saffron. An antipathetic treatment, we wouldn't really use in this situation. Saturnian herbs that boost mineral intake reinforce structure, like barley or oats, or lunar herbs that nourish and moisten and restore the nervous system. So that burnout's actually a really interesting example, because sometimes if it's an acute burnout, let me try and explain this. Sometimes people are so burnt out that they cannot tolerate stimulation. So some people can have a degree of burnout where they will really tolerate some, rhodiola, which is quite stimulating, a bit of saffron, and it will help them a lot because it provides that solar energy they need to revitalize. However, sometimes people are so burnt out that something of a solar nature is too stimulating and it actually makes them worse. So in antipathetic treatment, you might not want to go near solar things as well, because they've had such an excess of solar energy, they've burnt out. That's when you would bring in like a lunar herb or a Saturnian herb, something that's nourishing, full of minerals, something to restore the nervous system. So again, this is where it's a little bit of an art. And there is it is sort of up to you to choose how to remedy that person, and that's why having some understanding of basics of herbal medicine would really come in handy, and knowing how to apply that. So I hope I didn't confuse you even more with that example. But yeah, sympathetic, you're bringing more of the energy you want. Antipathetic, you're trying to bring it down. So the doctrine of signatures. This is a way to read nature's clues to understand which planet or zodiac sign rules a particular plant. So I'm sharing this with you as a way for you to understand how certain herbalists have come to conclusions about the rulerships of certain plants, but also so that you can take these what am I calling them? You can just take this information and use it yourself to identify plants, because I'll give you a list with plants and their rulerships, and it doesn't cover all the plants. There are, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of plants. And perhaps you want to go out there and get to know a certain plant, whether you know its rulership or not. Using the doctrine of signatures can really help you understand its potential rulership. It's really interesting. I find as a naturopath, being trained in a university, it's very Aquarian in nature that we're so detached from the actual plant. We get taught plant medicine through rote learning, really, and then we get given bottles of herbs to prescribe. And it works, it's fine, but we're very detached from the actual plant itself, what it smells like, what it feels like, what it tastes like, what it looks like, how it grows. So that's something nice for you to engage in, even if you just want to go into your backyard and you've got dandelion growing as a weed, or you've got some peppermint. Even if you know what their rulership is, going out there, looking at it, feeling it, like tasting it if it's safe, so you can understand how it came under its rulership. Anyway, so the doctrine of signatures, it's like decoding a plant's cosmic fingerprint through multiple layers of observation. When determining a plant's planetary ruler, we look at several key characteristics that might align with the planet's nature. Sorry, the plant's nature, I should have said. I made a typo. So we first look at the physical appearance. So visual features often hint at its planetary connection. You look at its colors, its growth pattern, its overall shape. For example, does it look like a body part? Does it look soft and juicy or dry and hard? You're looking at its colors. They all give you hints as to its planetary connection or ruler, or even its function. You think of aloe vera, it's juicy, there's a lot of moisture in it, and we use it quite often to treat sunburn. So think about how that would fit in. The growing environment. So the plant's natural habitat gives important clues. For instance, plants that thrive in cold, harsh environments often align with Saturn's nature, whilst those growing in wet, damp areas might be lunar herbs. Things that bloom in the summer in the dry soil perhaps are under the sun's rule, or maybe even Mars. Sensory properties. The plant's taste and smell can tell you a lot. Spicy, pungent herbs are often very Martian. Sweet-smelling flowers typically align with Venus. Each planet has its characteristic sensory signatures, and also pay attention to its texture. Soft, juicy leaves might be a lunar herb or plant. Therapeutic action. So how a plant affects its body is really crucial to understanding its rulership. So plants that heat and energize often belong to Mars, so like your circulatory stimulants, while those that cool and restrict maybe are a bit more Saturnian. Tonifying could be solar. These actions mirror the plant's fundamental nature. So even if you can't access a plant, in which so many cases we can't, if you understand its therapeutic actions, that can give you a huge hint into its planetary ruler. Organ affinities. So plants often show special affinity for organs ruled by their planetary governor, like Venus's herbs working well with kidneys, Mercury's plants affecting the nervous system, Jupiter plants, often being really good for the liver and blood sugar levels, just as examples. Chemical composition, so the mineral content can indicate its planetary ruler. Copper-rich plants might be Venusian. Now, this is not something I've taught you, but the different planets have, they rule over different metals and minerals and stuff. I don't really go into that, but copper belongs to Venus, and mineral-rich plants often align with Saturn because we need minerals to build bones and structure. And iron comes under the rulership of Mars, so anything with a good iron content like nettle is probably Martian. Timing and cycles. So when a plant blooms or is most potent can indicate a planetary alignment. Rulership. I don't like that word, alignment. Planetary rulership. Some plants follow straightforward cycles that match their ruling planet's nature. So this system acknowledges that a single plant might show multiple planetary signatures, especially when different parts of the plant are considered. So for example, a plant's root might express Martian qualities where its leaves may be more Saturnian, such as in nettle. So adding up its different signatures can help you understand its rulership. However, this is not always a straightforward, clear-cut process, hence the differing opinions across time and cultures. Understanding these signatures helps herbalists work with plants in ways that honour their complete planetary nature and healing potential. And like I mentioned before, many modern herbalists are somewhat detached from knowing the plant itself, as we are taught about them via theory and utilise them in pre-made bottled tinctures or tablets. So I suggest picking 3 or 4 common herbs you can find in your garden or that you can grow and get to know them in person and understand why they're under their own particular rulership. Dandelions are a great place to start, as is rosemary. The planets and their herbs. So now we're going to go through planets and herbs that are under their rulership. So plants rarely have only one ruler, and herbs can relate to their ruling planets in 2 ways. Now this is where it gets a little confusing. Some herbs mirror the planet's nature, so sympathetic. For example, marshmallow perfectly reflects the moon's qualities by being cooling, moistening, and soothing, just like the moon's energy. On the other hand, other herbs combine their ruling planet's qualities with opposite qualities, antipathetic, to create balance. Take the rose, ruled by Venus. While it has typical Venusian traits like soft petals, sweet smell, and beauty-enhancing properties, it also has an astringent quality. This astringency is actually a Saturn-like property, Saturn being associated with binding and contracting and astringing. This opposite quality helps balance out Venus's naturally soft, relaxed nature. So as you'll see, there are some herbs that act in the same way as their planetary ruler. Like marshmallow, for example, has the qualities of being cooling, moistening, and soothing, but other plants will be under the rulership of a planet or given to that planet because they balance it out, they counter its effects. As we go, I'll try to point out some examples for you. So it's a little bit confusing like that, and it'll make sense over time. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. That's all right. We'll go find one. Properties of solar herbs. Warming, energizing, toning, vitalizing, immune enhancing. Cardiotonics are a big one. Adaptogens, fortifying, nutritive. Often they're yellow, not all the time, but yellow is a very popular color for a solar herb. Some solar herbs, we have calendula, rhodiola, turmeric, guarana, angelica, archangelica, St. John's wort, rosemary, saffron, cinnamon, and hawthorn. So St. John's wort, a solar herb. Doing spotlight for each planet. We'll look at a herb that really embodies its nature. St. John's wort's solar correspondence is beautifully reflected through its physical characteristics and therapeutic actions. Its bright yellow flowers reaching towards the sky mirror the sun's radiant energy. This theme of light extends into its medicinal properties. It is photosensitizing. Its photosensitizing effect demonstrates a literal interaction with sunlight, whilst its uplifting action on mood and ability to dispel depression aligns with the sun's archetypal qualities of illumination, vitality, and bringing light to darkness. Just as the sun represents the center of consciousness and vitality in astrological tradition, St. John's wort acts as a central nervous system tonic, bringing warmth and restoration to the spiritual and emotional core of a person. Its wound healing properties also reflect solar themes of vitality and regeneration, while its traditional harvesting at the height of summer, around St. John's Day when the sun is at its zenith, further cements its solar nature. So you can see this is a herb that is solar by sympathy. It acts a lot like the sun's energy, the sun's traits. Moon herbs, properties of lunar herbs. Moistening and cooling, first and foremost. Nourishing, galactagogues, nervines, sedatives, hypnotics, emollients, febrifuges, diuretics, uterine herbs, stomachics, demulcents, and they may grow in or around the water, such as marshmallow. So we have here some prime examples: chickweed, marshmallow, cabbage, lettuce, poppy, passionflower, coconut, clary sage, St. Mary's thistle with Jupiter, and aloe. So spotlight on marshmallow, a lunar herb. Marshmallow's deep connection to the moon is evident through both its natural habitat and therapeutic properties. Growing naturally in salt marshes that ebb and flow with lunar tides, marshmallow embodies the moon's watery, nurturing essence. Its primary medicinal actions, moistening, cooling, and softening, directly mirror the moon's fundamental qualities in traditional astrology. Like the moon's gentle maternal influence, marshmallow excels at soothing and healing inflammatory conditions, symbolically wounds of Mars, using its cooling moisture to calm heat and inflammation throughout the body. The plant's abundant mucilage, which creates a soothing slipperiness over the body's passages, reflects the moon's governance over bodily fluids and its role in maintaining proper moisture balance. Moreover, marshmallow's ability to ease pain and promote healing of internal and external wounds aligns with the moon's traditional association with nurturance, repair, and cycles of regeneration. So mercurial herbs, properties. We have nerve tonics, nootropics, cognition enhancers, anti-anxiety, dopamine boosters, carminative, antispasmodics, respiratory tonics, bronchial relaxants, anti-asthmatics. So it really is nervous system respiratory going on with mercurial herbs. And actually, I'll give you an example here. Some mercurial herbs act in sympathy to Mercury, so they enhance Mercury's function, such as nootropics, which enhance cognitive function. And some mercurial herbs act in antipathy to Mercury by keeping it balanced, by like anti-anxiety herbs and nerve tonics, which can actually help settle the nervous system. So they're both mercurial herbs, although one is boosting the nervous system and cognitive function a bit, and the other one is calming down the nervous system a bit. Both mercurial, but one's acting to support and one's acting to balance. So mercurial herbs, we have lavender, dill, fennel, licorice, ginkgo, bacopa, gotu kola, coca, and velvet bean. You see some of these are carminatives, or they have an action on like nootropics on the nervous system. Velvet bean is dopaminergic, so it increases dopamine. Coca is very stimulating. Bacopa is a nootropic. Licorice acts in antipathy to Mercury, because Mercury is that nervous system, quick, sort of flighty. It's very dry. So Mercury is very dry, whereas licorice is really moistening. So licorice, some people might actually give licorice to the moon or to Venus because it is sweet and moistening. And that they're all kind of okay. if you want to give it a few rulerships, like I've mentioned before. But in this case, because licorice is moistening and can help with like a cough or a respiratory situation, that's why it's given to Mercury. Okay, but spotlight on lavender as a Mercury herb. Lavender's deep bond with Mercury is evident through how it interacts with bodily systems that Mercury traditionally governs. Mercury rules the nervous system and the movement of air through the body, and lavender works directly on these domains. Lavender has a hot and subtle spirit, as Culpeper noted. It mirrors Mercury's swift, ethereal nature. Just as Mercury is known for quick movement and communication in the body, lavender efficiently addresses nervous system concerns, easing muscle spasms and calming nervous tension. The plant's ability to dispel wind and gas in the digestive system also reflects Mercury's governance over the movement of air through bodily passages. Even lavender's purple colouring connects to Mercury's high-frequency energy. Much like Mercury's rapid orbit, purple represents one of the highest vibratory frequencies in the visible spectrum, linking it to Mercury's swift motion and its traditional association with the crown chakra and higher mental functions. In this way, lavender embodies Mercury's qualities of quick movement, nervous system regulation, and ethereal energy. Venusian herbs and their properties: balancing, relaxing, sweet, aphrodisiacs, blood purifying, kidney tonics, anti-lithic, so helps reduce, stop, or anything to do with stones, calculi build up. Bladder tonics, female repro herbs, uterine anti-hemorrhagic, liver support, antidotes to poison, beauty enhancing. Some Venusian herbs. We have burdock, which is probably my favourite Venusian herb. Rose, goldenrod, wild yam, hibiscus, damiana, lady's mantle, motherwort, yarrow, red clover, ribwort, romania. So burdock, I think maybe I do a spotlight on that one. Blood cleansing, rose, it smells beautiful. They're quite often lovely coloured. They're visually very pretty. It's very Venusian. But like I said before, it has that astringent quality on the skin, so it balances Venus. Goldenrod, there's an affinity for the kidneys. Wild yam, so that's female repro. Lady's mantle, there's female repro there again. Red clover, so there's affinity for the female system. Damiana, it's an aphrodisiac. Damiana, some people might put under maybe Mars, but Romania, that's a bit of a kidney adrenal tonic. So yeah. Spotlight on burdock. Yeah, I thought I would do burdock. Burdock's alignment with Venus is evident through its deep relationship with the body's systems of beauty, balance, and purification, all domains traditionally ruled by Venus. As a herb that excels at purifying the blood and clearing the skin, conditions like acne, eczema, and psoriasis, burdock directly expresses Venus's governance over skin, health, and beauty. Venus traditionally rules the kidneys, and burdock's diuretic properties work through the kidneys to help remove excess and restore balance to the body. This balancing action is quintessentially Venusian, just as Venus in astrology represents harmony and equilibrium. Burdock helps brings the body back to balance, particularly in cases of excess that manifest as inflammatory conditions. The herb's anti-inflammatory properties further reflect Venus's soothing nature, while its ability to address blood sugar imbalances mirrors Venus's role in maintaining the body's harmonious rhythms. Through these actions, burdock embodies Venus's fundamental qualities of beautification, purification, and restoration of balance. What I didn't mention in the last slide, or the first slide, Venus has an affinity for sugar, so anything sugary, that's quite Venusian. So also the blood sugar balance would come will come under Venusian rulership, at least partially. Martian herbs. They are stimulating, androgenic, heating, drying, antimicrobials, antivirals, antiprotozoal, immunostimulant, purgative, cathartic, blood purifier, blood builder, support muscle growth, strengthening, and strengthen liver and gallbladder. The saying to have the gall. So very masculine, very aggressive, huge immune system function, especially in terms of dealing with imminent threats. So whether that's pathogens or, protozoa, things that need dealing with quite immediately, that's a very Martian action. So some Martian herbs: Tongkat Ali, Shilajit, which are amazing for men's vitality and testosterone. Cat's claw, because of that purgative action. Echinacea. Echinacea is a fun one because it like tingles on your tongue. It's a lot of there's a lot of action and sort of heat that comes from it. Cayenne, obviously. Ephedra, that's where we get ephedrine from. It's a huge stimulant. Nettle root, maca, again, cinchona. Coffee, very stimulating, very warming. Ginkgo, guarana, very stimulating. Gentian and barberry, because they have that effect on the liver, gallbladder. They probably come under some other rulerships, but are a little bit Martian as well. Spotlight on barberry. Barberry embodies Mars's warrior-like qualities through its powerful and aggressive medicinal actions. Just as Mars is the planet of combat and heat, barberry actively fights against harmful conditions in the body, particularly those involving excess heat and choler, so that choleritic nature, traditionally associated with Mars's fiery nature. The herb's bright red berries even mirror Mars's colour, whilst its ability to purge and cleanse reflects Mars's forceful driving out energy. Like a martial commander, barberry launches strong attacks against infections, parasites, and inflammatory conditions, demonstrating Mars's aggressive healing style. However, just as Mars's influence must be carefully tempered to be beneficial, barberry is a potent medicine that works best in measured amounts. The herb's particular effectiveness in treating choleric conditions, those characterized by heat and inflammation, shows how it works through sympathy, fighting fire with fire like Mars's own nature. Its traditional use in strengthening men's attractiveness, according to Culpeper, also connects to Mars's rulership over masculine energy. Through these actions, barberry exemplifies Mars's forceful, heating, and combative nature in plant form. Jupiterian herbs. So again, we have adaptogens. Adaptogens are also very solar. So you see, there's that crossover. Longevity herbs, liver tonics, hepatoprotective, hepatotropho, restorative, anything that acts upon the liver. Cholagogues, choleretics, blood sugar regulators, so that kind of goes with Venus a bit as well. Vasodilators, anti-hyperlipidemic, because Jupiter rules lipids. Jupiterian herbs. So St. Mary's thistle. I think I put that under Venus as well for its blood sugar regulatory properties. It is more Jupiterian, but there's that crossover. Globe artichoke. Globe artichoke supports the liver and it brings down blood lipids, right? So that is keeping Jupiter's energy in balance, because Jupiter can be too expansive, too excessive, too much fat, too much sugar. Globe artichoke is Jupiterian through antipathy by keeping it in balance. Dandelion root, classic liver herb, perfect. I love dandelion root. Yellow dock, Schisandra, Withania, reishi, cordyceps, frankincense, oak tree, cardamom, clove, nutmeg, aniseed. So a lot of the really rich, indulgent, beautiful spices like the clove, nutmeg, aniseed that have these beautiful aromas belong to Jupiter. Reishi, cordyceps, anything that enhances longevity, that's Jupiterian. And We got like Withania, Schisandra, both adaptogens, Schisandra having that liver affinity, Yellow Donk having a liver affinity as well. So that's how that works. So, spotlight on dandelion root. Dandelion root embodies Jupiter's expansive and benevolent qualities through its abundant growth and generous healing properties. So, that abundance, generous, expansive nature is very Jupiterian. Just as Jupiter represents Just as Jupiter represents expansion, abundance, and jovial energies, dandelion appears everywhere with remarkable resilience, offering its medicine freely across landscapes, mirroring Jupiter's reputation for benevolence and generosity. The bright yellow flowers, the bright yellow flowers corresponding to the bile that the plant helps to regulate through its profound liver supporting actions. So we know that Jupiter rules the liver, and because dandelion has like such a profound effect on the liver, that's one way we can tell its rulership. As a cholagogue and choleretic, dandelion root optimizes liver function and bile production. This cleansing action directly addresses Jupiterian issues of excess. Just as Jupiter can bring too much of a good thing, dandelion helps the body process and eliminate. The plant's cheerful appearance mirrors Jupiter's jovial nature, while its remarkable ability to transform from golden flower to ethereal puffball represents Jupiter's alchemical capacities for positive change. When dandelion seeds disperse on the wind, traveling impressively far distances, we see Jupiter's expansive, far-reaching influence at work, the plant joyfully spreading itself across vast territories without restraint. Dandelion's effectiveness in addressing Saturnian conditions like rheumatism further emphasizes its Jupiterian nature, as Jupiter traditionally opposes and balances Saturn's rheumatic nature. Dandelion is considered a cooling herb, however, keeping Jupiter's relaxed and warm nature in balance. Properties of Saturnian herbs. They are astringent, cold, tonifying, bone mineralizers and builders, collagen support, poisons sometimes, vasoconstrictors, and often have a musculoskeletal affinity. So astringent, tonifying, collagen, bone mineralizers, we are building structure form, which is Saturnian in nature. Poisons, because Saturn can have that association with death. Vasoconstrictors, again, that's like an astringent, it's constricting. And musculoskeletal affinity because of Saturn's rulership over like rheumatism and physical structure. Saturnian herbs, we have comfrey because it's bone healing, arnica, horsetail, butcher's broom, nettle leaf, milk thistle, bisdort, hemp, golden seal, and cleavers. But we're going to do a spotlight on comfrey. Comfrey's deep alignment with Saturn is evident in both its primary actions and the tissues it affects, just as Saturn governs structure, solidity, and the hardest parts of the body. Comfrey, aptly named knit bone, excels at healing and strengthening bones, joints, and structural tissues. The herb's cold, dry, earthy nature perfectly mirrors Saturn's qualities. Saturn being the most dense and earthbound of the planets. Like Saturn's constraining, binding influence, comfrey demonstrates powerful astringent properties that help knit tissues back together and stop excessive bleeding. This binding action is particularly evident in how it heals wounds and broken bones, literally bringing structure back to damaged areas. The herb's affinity for treating weeping ulcers and gangrene reflects Saturn's traditional role in containing and drying up excess moisture, while its ability to ease joint pain connects to Saturn's rulership over the skeletal system. Even its cooling, anti-inflammatory properties show Saturn's nature of restricting and limiting excess heat. Through these actions, comfrey embodies Saturn's fundamental qualities of structure, constraint, and solidification. Uranian herbs. Now we're moving into the modern planets. The herbal associations are obviously far more new and perhaps a little bit more tentative. but we'll see. Properties of Uranian herbs. Venotonics. So Uranus, modern ruler of Aquarius, has that circulatory system rulership. So that's where venotonics come in. Stimulants, circulatory tonics, nootropics, nervines, relaxants, and blood thinners. So nervines and relaxants, because Uranus can bring spasms and tension, mostly just sort of spasms and cramps. Nootropic, because of the effect on the nervous system. Uranus can be like, there's that nervous system affinity, but also a bit of a creative genius or an eccentric genius. So there's that nootropic, circulatory tonics, relaxants, blood thinners. Again, yeah, we've got the circulatory system. Uranian herbs. You've probably seen most of these under rulership of the traditional planets, but we've got passion flower, skullcap, carver. They are all relaxing. They reduce spasm. Ginkgo, bacopa, cacao, coffee. That's because they are like nootropic or stimulating. Yarrow to decongest blood. Coca, again, that's where cocaine comes from, so that's like a very stimulating kind of herb. Green tea, matcha. I've always thought green tea matcha really belongs to Uranus because it's such an unusual color. Actually, it's quite quirky, but it increases dopamine because it's got the L-theanine, so it helps that focus. It gives you that cognitive lift and that stimulation, but it smooths it out, and it's that real smoothing action that complements Uranus really well. Mucuna, so the velvet bean again, because it brings dopamine, and dopamine helps with coordination and muscles. When we have a lack of dopamine, that's where you get Parkinsonian symptoms, which are very shaky and jittery, which is Uranus. So velvet bean sort of counters that Uranian energy. And panax, ginseng, lightning bolt of life energy to the nervous system. Spotlight on green tea. It embodies Uranus's revolutionary and innovative energy through its unique effects on consciousness and bodily systems. Just as Uranus is associated with sudden breakthroughs and higher states of awareness, green tea offers a distinctive combination of stimulation and calm, particularly through its L-theanine content, which increases dopamine levels to create a relaxed yet alert state, preventing the spasmodic reactions typically associated with Uranian energy. The tea's ability to induce alpha brainwaves mirrors Uranus's association with altered states and higher consciousness. Like Uranus's role in bringing sudden positive changes, green tea's antioxidants work to protect cells from free radical damage and effects of radiation, while its effects on circulation and blood flow reflect Uranus's governance with Aquarius over circulation. The dopaminergic effects create a smooth, sustained energy boost rather than erratic spikes, showing how Uranian energy can be channeled constructively. Through its epigallocatagen gallate contents, potential to inhibit cancer cell growth, it shows Uranus's revolutionary qualities. In essence, green tea captures Uranus's signature blend of innovation, consciousness alteration, whilst its dopamine-boosting properties help maintain balance within Uranus's typically erratic influence. Neptunian herbs. Apologies, I've left a lightning bolt strike there. That is not appropriate for Neptune. Think of a Poseidon's Triton, the ocean, fog. Neptunian herbs. Hypnotic, sedative, visionary, saying visionary instead of hallucinogenic, consciousness altering, herbs historically used for spiritual purposes. Neptunian herbs. So a lot of these aren't, they're not often used in conventional medicine. Not that they aren't medicinal, but we're not allowed to prescribe a lot of them. Hemp, cannabis, opiate, visionary mushrooms, peyote, San Pedro, DMT, passion flower, blue lotus, mugwort, Californian poppy, ayahuasca, valerian, and the Amanita muscaria mushroom. So a lot of these are considered illegal in a lot of places because they are classed as hallucinogens. I would say they're more visionary, and they sort of break down that they help you see past the veil, and that's very Neptunian in nature. Spotlight on psilocybin mushrooms. They profoundly embody Neptune's association with the dissolution of boundaries and access to mystical realms. Just as Neptune governs the blurring of everyday reality and access to spiritual dimensions, these mushrooms are renowned for their ability to temporarily dissolve the veil between ordinary and non-ordinary states of consciousness. Their capacity to facilitate communication with transcendent entities and realms mirrors Neptune's role as the gateway to spiritual experiences and divine connection. The mushroom's influence on the brain chemistry, particularly through serotonin and dopamine pathways, reflects Neptune's governance over altered states of consciousness and the neurochemistry of mystical experience. Like Neptune's dissolving influence on rigid structures, psilocybin has been shown to increase neural connectivity and create lasting changes in consciousness. Its traditional use in spiritual initiation and development aligns with Neptune's association with spiritual awakening and enlightenment. Through both its immediate visionary effects and its longer-term antidepressant properties, psilocybin demonstrates Neptune's power to transcend ordinary reality while bringing healing through connection to the divine or mystical realm. I really like that. It's a really good summary of psilocybin and Neptune's nature. And of course, I'm not advising anyone take these or go seek them out. This is all for educational purposes. Plutonian herbs. Again, I haven't changed the picture. I apologize, but a Plutonian herb, a great image would be a volcano. They tend to be anti-cancer, depurative, potent, reproductive support, anti-parasitic, intestinal cleansers, and sometimes aphrodisiacs. I always found Plutonian herbs kind of hard to identify because you can see it's anti-cancer because I guess very Plutonian nature is getting cancer. Depurative because Pluto can have an association with like a severe toxic buildup. Potent because Pluto by nature is so extreme. Reproductive support because Pluto does have some co-rulership over reproduction. Anti-parasitic, intestinal cleansers because Pluto has that cathartic purgative nature. And aphrodisiac because of the reproductive implications. Plutonian herbs, wormwood, powder arco, black walnut, poke root. So actually I think of poke root when I think Plutonian because poke root is powerful. You use like 5 mils of a tincture in a week. You need such a small amount and it just cleanses your lymph. Black cohosh, false unicorn, damiana, and guarana. I didn't do a spotlight on Plutonian herbs, but therapeutic actions and their planetary rulers. All of these, I'll give you, I'll let you read them on your own. It's a pretty good guide. It's not hard and fast rule, but it's pretty good. As you see, I don't include a lot of the modern planets. Like you can see nootropic, I've got Uranus there. Sedative, Neptune. It is mostly the traditional planets, so your Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, because that's where we have the most information. But this is a great slide to keep as well. So remember, there are differing opinions on rulers of herbs. Spending your time with a plant in real life can help you understand its nature better. Don't feel discouraged if you don't immediately recognize the rule of a particular plant. It's a process and it's not always easy. I don't recognize them a lot of the time. learning all this information, also it takes ages. Cool, and we're all done for this session. I will see you in the next one.